What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we're going to talk about everything that you need to know in order to win on Marvel Strike Force. We're going to take a look at my newest tier list, where we have all the goalposts that you should look forward in Marvel Strike Force. Whether you are a veteran player, whether you are a new player, you'll find exactly what are the goals for each of the characters that we have in the game, and based on that you can invest without having a concern if you are over investing or if you are under investing. And this will also show you some characters you need to focus on in order to complete all the challenges, unlock all the legendary characters, because even if not all legendary characters are important right now, in specific situations they will become important, and therefore it's going to be nice for you to have them unlocked. So as always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, so let's get started. And you can find this on my Discord. The link will be in the description. On the social section there is a category that says tier list info, and we have the tier list info from last patch, and now we have the newest version. There is a note right here that talks about US Agent. US Agent, he will be not recommended to invest right now because he's raid only character, and until you have the full team and until the team is fully maxed out, thanks for the sub. So until the full team is maxed out, there is no reason for you to invest on US Agent, because he has very low viability outside of raids, so keep that in mind. Okay, so now taking a look at the tier list, and this is a massive tier list. We have multiple categories to explain everything about the game, and this is why it's good for new players and veteran players alike. If you didn't invest in some of these characters in the past, there is no point investing in them, and other characters that you didn't invest in the past might be relevant enough to invest now. Okay, so let's take a look at each of the tiers that we have here. So you have recommendations from Gear Tier 17 all the way to characters that should have zero investment right now. Okay, so like I said, US Agent, until you have the other characters unlocked, until you have the other characters maxed out, there is no point investing on US Agent, and this character will be pushed for the next patch. So in the next patch you'll be not on this part, you will be more up in more relevant categories. Okay, so on the zero investment we have a lot of shield characters, we have a lot of Hydra characters. Some of these characters might be super niche if you have good red stars, otherwise not really. Unfortunately, the Fantastic Four, they're also here. We also have the Heroes for Hire. While they are still a strong Alliance Wars defense, we have so many counters right now that makes them irrelevant. Power armor in very niche specific situations. A few of these characters might be usable, but it's not the case. Then we also have Ravagers. Ravagers, some people like them, but once again, it's such a niche situation. It's so specific for Alliance Wars offense to very specific teams that I cannot recommend that. Then we have a few key characters: Korath, Minerva, Ronan, Ultimus. If you didn't invest these characters in the past, there is no point for you investing in them right now. And Minerva, she can be used, once again, very niche situation against Hero Asgardians in Alliance Wars, but you don't even have to invest on her for her to be useful. Hero Asgardians, these are also characters that low investment, it's not important. Then we have Green Goblin, Shocker. We have the Brotherhood. If you didn't invest them in the past, they are completely irrelevant now. And then we have Karnak, Mantis, a few mercenary minions, and also Strange, Doctor Strange, and Crossbones. So that's it. So those are the characters that is like zero investment right now. I really cannot recommend any new player or veteran player to invest in any of these characters. Now we have the niche and the dead meta characters. These were characters that they had somewhat relevance in the past 1 year, but they have fallen off completely. They have been replaced by other characters, and they are also characters that have somewhat niche specific use, maybe in Avengers Tower. Whenever that shows up, it's such a rare occasion where these teams can be useful that I can also not recommend to invest on them as a priority. These might be characters that if you are a veteran player, if you have been playing for at least 1 or 2 years, you might have put some investment in them, but overall it's not something that as a new player you should rush, and even as a veteran player it's not something you should prioritize by any means. Okay, so we have the Dark Hunters. We have the Dark Hunters. This is a counter for Alliance Wars offense only against Heroes for Hire, and none of these teams should be invested in. Then we have the Black Order. Black Order, they need to be very maxed out in order to have any use. Their meta was like 2 or 3 years ago. Now they can use it in very specific situations. Most of the times they use it as a sack team, so that shows how bad they are, and that's pretty much it. Nakia, it's another character that is very niche on very specific matches. She's very good, but that's it. It's not a character I recommend, but I have seen a few good results with her. She's a skill character, so there are not a lot of popular skill characters right now, so it's probably the only character that you can justify investing a little bit in, even that once again it's such a specific situation where you use her that I don't recommend. Then we have Astonishing X-Men. They were the mutant raid team for the past year. Now they are going to be replaced by the Dead Seed. The season of Cosmic Crucible that benefited Hero Mutants is also about to end, so it's very unnecessary to invest on the Astonishing X-Men right now. In terms of the Shadowland, once again very niche use. They are still somewhat useful, at least White Tiger, Moon Knight and Night Nurse. They can be used on very specific situations. They are a strong combo, but overall it's something that you can skip. Symbiotes, they were the Bio Ray team from 2 years ago. Now we have the Web Warriors, and they are also going to be replaced by the Rebirth team. So the symbiotes, unfortunately, they are characters that they are fun to play with, especially Symbiote Spider-Man, but unfortunately the time is over. After we have the A-Force, once again very niche use. The characters, they are only usable in Alliance Wars offense, sometimes in Cosmic Crucible as well, but it's not something you should rush and or prioritize. And the same goes for the Marauders. They can be used in very specific situations, but it's so rare that it's definitely something you should not prioritize. Maybe as a long-term project you can focus on Madeline Pryor or Jessica Jones, Moon Knight, White Tiger, but beyond that, beyond being a long-term project in case you want to skip some other characters, it's not something I cannot recommend. Okay, now we have a few characters that they are part of the meta now, because we are going to have the Death Scourge on this specific patch. With each time that we have the Death Scourge, the value of these characters are going to drop extremely quick. And the value of the Web Warriors are also going to drop extremely quick as soon as the Rebirth team starts to be released. And we have a few other characters here like the Dark Hunters. They were also part of a Scourge event, but because we already had 4 Scourge events for Pestilence, it's very unlikely that we'll have another one, and therefore their value is lower because of that. Moving on, we have tier 12 characters that you need for events. You have the end characters, they are required for the Catalyst event. We have Invisible Woman and Kitty Pryde that are required for the Nowhere Heist event. Then we have the skill military characters that they are required for the training boot camp event that will allow you to get a bunch of training materials, which is very important. And then we have a few mercs with Taskmaster that are required for the payday that gives you tons and tons of gold. So as you can see, I cannot put these characters on the zero investment because you are going to get some value out of them. Even if you don't max them out, you are going to get some value because you need them to complete events that will give you T4s, training materials, dark promotion credits, gold, and so on. And that's why we have to give some investment to them at some point in our journey through Marvel Strike Force. Moving on to the next category, we have Tier 12 Legendary Unlocks. These are characters that will allow you to unlock legendary characters, and once again, even if you don't use these legendary characters every day, at some point in time, in Alliance Wars, or in Arena, or in Cosmic Crucible, or in Avengers Tower, these legendary characters will be extremely useful for you to deal with those challenges that we are facing. Therefore, it's always important to unlock all legendary characters. Even if you don't unlock them at 7 yellow stars, you should still unlock them at 5 yellow stars, and they are still going to be useful like that. So we have the Kree team that allows you to unlock a Nick Fury, and Nick Fury will allow you to unlock Omega Red. That's going to be extremely important because in specific situations, Nick Fury can be extremely useful, giving speed up to the entire team. And Omega Red is one of the best characters in Marvel Strike Force, therefore you want to unlock him as fast as possible. He applies ability blocks, he applies traumas, he has health steal, he gives speed up to himself, so even if you have Omega Red at low yellow stars, he is still a very, very powerful character in Marvel Strike Force. So the Kree minion are once again used to unlock Nick Fury and then Omega Red. Then we have the X Factor with Jubilee. They allow you to unlock Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is a very, very powerful character, very, very underrated. He applies ability block and stun to multiple characters. He extends negative effects on the enemies, and he can also revive, and he is very, very beefy. So it's not a character that should be skipped. Then we have the X-Force. X-Force will allow you to unlock Dr. Octopus, and on specific situations together with any other characters is going to be very powerful with healing, with speed up, with deflects. For example, right now there is a combo with Dr. Octopus and the Captain America rework, which is super, super OP. So it's something that you need to keep in mind. Then we have the Guardians and Ravagers with Yondu. They will allow you to unlock Star-Lord. Beam Tech will allow you to unlock Jubilee, which you need for Adam Warlock. Then we have Asgardians, which will allow you to unlock Black Bolt. Black Bolt very strong against characters that revive. Characters that are paired up with Dormammu is very strong because whenever they finish them off, they cannot be revived. And Black Bolt also very strong against villain tech characters, which is important now because Ultron is back into the meta of Marvel Strike Force. So once again, that will also increase the value of Black Bolt. Then we have Yo-Yo and a few Inhumans that will allow you to unlock Ebony Maw. Ebony Maw is probably the least important legendary character right now because he's so limited to the Black Order team. Then we have Dr. Octopus and some Sinister Six, which will allow you to unlock Invisible Woman, which is another character that is not as important in terms of the legendary characters. She's okay in Alliance Wars defense, together once again with Captain America, but they also allow you to unlock Shuri. So investing on the Sinister Six will allow you to unlock 2 legendaries for the price of 1. Moving on, we have the Tier 12 Plus. This means that these characters are going to be useful at Gear Tier 12, but if you invest more on them, you are still going to get value out of that investment. So tier 12 plus, useful for PvP, but this is more for advanced players. For new players, some of these characters might be a little bit complex at the beginning, but with the more experience you get and with the combinations that you can do with these characters, as you get more aware of these combos, then their value is going to increase. So we have Loki, we have Hawkeye that turn rewinds enemies, we have Drax and Red Guardian with auto taunt, we have Nick Fury that gives speed up and buffs to allies, he also summons minions, we have Star-Lord T'Challa that does very strong big burst damage to the enemies, he also removes energy, Namor in Alliance Wars, even at gear tier 12, is massive because he turn rewinds the enemies by 40% up to 50%, Black Bolt once again, big damage, does not allow to revive enemies. Silver Surfer gives additional focus if you have cosmic allies together on your team. Very, very important. This allows you to do so many punch-ups and meta-changing situations because of the focus buff from Silver Surfer. He also applies ability block, he also applies ability block, he also removes charges. He's very, very powerful character, a very strong clutch character. Star-Lord, not T'Challa, we have Star-Lord T'Challa and we have Peter Quill Star-Lord. He is very strong because he is fast and he gives energy to characters, and that will allow you to trigger the ultimate of the characters faster. Spider-Woman, very strong character that applies ability block. Cable gives turn meter on spawn, ability block on characters with deflect and dodges with X23, making her a very powerful character. OG Spider-Man, huge survivability, stuns, defense downs with slows, very flexible character. Then we have Baron Zemo and Red Skull. Baron Zemo on his own is very powerful, and Red Skull together with Baron Zemo allows characters to go extremely fast by giving them turn meter. Same goes for Vulture. Vulture is the opposite. Instead of giving turn meter, he's extremely fast and he turn rewinds the enemies. Kingpin, massive buffs to all characters. He has a minion on spawn with taunt, which is very, very powerful. Mr. Negative, depending on which character you pair up with Mr. Negative, you can spread negative effects, but right now Mr. Negative is a very, very niche character and is not as useful as the other characters. And finally we have Nobu, which gives the flex counters and allows your characters to revive. So these are characters that even at low gear tiers, they are very powerful, they are very useful, and some of them, the stronger you get them, the more value you get out of them, and they will increase your flexibility, your theory crafting, your PvP prowess, and I think overall at some point in time you definitely want to invest on these characters to allow you to do those amazing combinations. Moving on, we have gear tier 14 or higher, level 75 or higher, and these characters are very, very nice to have. We have 4 very powerful teams here, or 4 or 5. So we have the Weapon X, they are very strong in all game modes, Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars, Avengers Tower. Many of these characters are also powerful in Dark Dimension, so they are definitely worth the investment. The same goes for Emma Frost. She reduces the speed of the enemies, and that's one of the most powerful effects that we have in Marvel Strike Force. Then we have the Young Avengers. They are a very, very powerful team. They are able to punch up very, very high because they have tons and tons of survivability, and they also have tons and tons of effects that they can do to the enemies, like flipping positive effects, applying blinds, applying negative effects, and that makes the Young Avengers a very powerful team. Then we have a few combinations of 2 characters. We have Hela with Zombie Iron Man, very, very powerful in all game modes, and where you can use them together. And then we have Cloak and Dagger. They are very powerful in raids, Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars, but especially for Dark Dimension, they are probably the best 2 characters that you can take for City in Dark Dimension, apart from Shang-Chi. If you take Shang-Chi and these 2 characters, you are going to have a very easy time in any Dark Dimension that you come across. Finally, we have the Uncanny, and the Uncanny is a powerful team that I recommend because their damage output is so high, they can punch up even to the newest teams. For example, against Gamma in Cosmic Crucible, it seems unlikely because Gamma is such a powerful team, but the damage output of the Uncanny is so high that yes, they can still compete with the newer teams. Okay, so now we have Tier 15, level 80 plus, Cosmic Crucible must have. These are teams that you definitely, characters and teams that you want to invest in order to use them in Cosmic Crucible because they are so powerful and they are so strong across the board. So we have the top 3 meta characters in the game right now. We have Ultron, Doctor Doom and Dormammu. You can pair up these characters with any of the other teams we mentioned before and they are going to make those teams more powerful. Sometimes I pair up Doctor Doom with Young Avengers or with Uncanny. Sometimes I pair up Dormammu with Cloak and Dagger. Now you can also pair up Ultron with any of the characters we just mentioned and they will allow those teams to become more powerful. Then we have the Tangled Web. This team is very strong in all game modes, but especially on Cosmic Crucible. They are extremely fast, they are extremely dangerous, and even just a few characters, it will make a huge difference. And especially Spider-Man 2099, he completely changed the arena meta because of how important he is. So he's definitely a character that you want to invest for all game modes. Then we have one very powerful and very strong team, which is the Infinity Watch. And I have to be honest, like, Infinity Watch is underrated. It was very famous in the past. Right now, people say or people act like they are not important. They are still one of the most important teams, and they are also extremely useful for Dark Dimension. And you have some of the most solid options there. You have Phyla-Vell, Moondragon, Gamora and Nebula. You can use all these characters together and the combination of the 4 is going to be extremely powerful. Then we have the Wakanda team. And this is the main Wakanda. We have Black Panther 1 million BC, we have M'Baku, Okoye and Shuri. These 5 characters, they will allow you to dominate all the game modes, and then, as I mentioned before, there are specific niche situations where you can use Nakia, but these are going to be the 5 most important Wakanda. Finally, we have Titania. Titania, she's going to be part of a Masters of Evil team, a Cosmic Crucible team, but her kit is extremely powerful, even outside of Cosmic Crucible, and I think this team, Masters of Evil, is going to be a team on par with the Infinity Watch, and I mean this in terms of quality. It's going to be a super powerful team that you definitely want to invest in going forward. Okay, moving on to the last few tiers, we have characters that you definitely want to take to Gear 316, that they are almost must-have in terms of Dark Dimension, and you also need them in other game modes. So we have Ikari, Cersei, Shang-Chi and Kestrel. All of these characters are must-have for Dark Dimension 5, and they are also must-have for raids. So if you are doing any kind of Doom raids where you have Mystic nodes or skill nodes, you definitely want to use all of these characters. Then in terms of the other raid characters, we have right here Tier 15, level 90, raids must have. These are teams that you should definitely build in order to be successful in the Doom raids and any upcoming raids that also require origin gear. So for the bio gear, we have the Rebirth team, and we need to talk about specifically on this team in the future because it's something that people need to understand the value of some characters. Some characters have more value than others, especially Captain America. Captain America right now is one of the best characters in the game, and there is no debate there. Then we have the Bionic Avengers, also a very powerful team. We have extremely useful characters here because they synergize with all characters in the game, like V-Vision and like Hulkbuster. Very strong options as well for Dark Dimension. And finally we have the Secret Avengers, and we also have Deadpool, that is a must-have character for raids. So these are extremely safe investments that you can do today, and they should also be useful in the next year to year and a half going forward. These ones we already talked about. Now we have the last two tiers, which is the Gear 17 characters, and then we have Gear Tier 15 Plus, Age of Apocalypse. These are going to be the characters that will allow you to unlock Apocalypse, but you should not rush to invest in them unless you are going to use them right away. So you can gear up safely, all of these characters of the Gear Tier 15 Age of Apocalypse. You can gear up all these characters to Gear Tier 15, no problem. Going beyond Gear Tier 15, where Teal Gear is required, you should only gear up these characters to Gear Tier 16 if you are going to complete the War Saga. If you are not going to complete the War Saga, then don't invest Teal Gear on them. And then you can also take these characters to Gear Tier 17, but that's going to be only when you are completely ready to unlock Apocalypse. If that's not the case, then gearing up some of these characters is going to be a waste of gear. It's going to be a gear sink that will not provide the value right away, while you should be instead investing on your raid characters or on your Cosmic Crucible characters. Okay, so the teams that we have right here, we have the Unlimited X-Men. This is a very powerful team in Cosmic Crucible, but they can also be used in Avengers Towers, in Alliance Wars, defense or offense, and they are also very powerful in Dark Dimension, especially Gambit, Sunfire, and Dazzler. You can make a combination of them, and they are pretty decent. They are not amazing, but they are pretty decent for Dark Dimension, because you can use them all together. Then we have the Darkhold, and the Darkhold has the opposite problem. We have some of these characters can be used on Global for Dark Dimension, but Strange Supreme is a cosmic character, so you cannot have the entire team, and because of that they will lose value. In terms of the Gamma team, a very powerful team for Alliance Wars, and I didn't mention about the Darkhold. All of these teams from the Age of Apocalypse, they are all good in all game modes. Let's be honest about that. They're all good in all game modes. Some are more specific than others in specific situations, but yeah. In terms of the Gamma team, She-Hulk is a city character. She's definitely not a character that you want to take for Dark Dimension 5. If you do that as a new player, that's going to be a big mistake. On the other hand, having Hulk, Brawn, and Abomination for Dark Dimension, they are extremely strong there, and they are a decent recommendation. Then we have the Death Seed. This is the new raid team, and this is a very, very powerful team. Some of these characters are decent in Dark Dimension 5 recommendations, but it's not, the value is not like amazing. They are decent options, the value is not amazing, so you should focus on them for raids, for Cosmic Crucible. Thanks for the sub. You should focus on them for raids, for Cosmic Crucible, for Alliance Wars, and use better options for Dark Dimension. I will make a different video on Dark Dimension, because the Dark Dimension recommendations right now are very, very tough, exactly because we have the Age of Apocalypse, and the difference for the recommendations for new players and the recommendations for veteran players are extremely different. Finally, we have Spider Weaver. She's a must-have for Apocalypse, and she's a very powerful character in all game modes: Arena, Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars, Dark Dimension, raids. You can also use her in raids. She's a very, very powerful character. Should you rush and gear up to Teal Gear right away? Probably not. Make sure you have all your raid teams ready, make sure you have your Cosmic Crucible teams ready, and then you can invest on these other characters. She's part of a Cosmic Crucible team, so she's definitely one character you want to gear up. And finally, we have the Horseman characters. We have the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse: Archangel, Morgan Le Fay, Red Hulk, and Rogue. These are extremely powerful characters. These are extremely flexible characters. You can use them in multiple different teams, and they will always provide some benefit to whichever team you use them with. And these are the only characters that are 100% guaranteed safe investment for Gear Tier 17, and they are also required for Apocalypse. They are also part of the Age of Apocalypse, but they are the only characters that are 100% safe to invest in. Okay, that's it. That's the full tier list. Everything that you need to know as a new player or as a veteran player for patch 6.6 of Marvel Strike Force, all the safe investments, how much you should invest on each of these teams. Once again, keep in mind that if a character has a plus on the level, or if a character has a plus on the gear tier, that means you can still push them a little bit further in case you have the resources available. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, you can find this on my Discord, link will be in the description. It's on the tier list section on the socials, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. If you found information helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.